All right, guys, welcome to Truth and Transparency. A little afternoon quick live. Just wanted to say hello to everybody. Thank you, mods, for being here. Subscribers, members, remember that at the end of the video, make yourself known by thumbing it up, thumbing it down, sharing it, whatever you deem is necessary. Again, just a couple of things wanted to bring to your guys' attention. Again, hello. We're going to take us back. I'm going to jump right into it. But I'm going to take us back to this 2011 article. I want to start right here. Vincent Sheets, a Lyft driver, told Insider he started refusing to pick up or drop off anyone in the area of the victim's home on party nights because his car had been vomited on and struck with objects there. Very strange. So next up, he said he previously worked at as a caterer at several University of Idaho fraternities and sororities houses and couldn't take it. The amount of drugs and alcohol in this was mind effing boggling. Like, look at that. What? Again, he told Insider, so I quit. Gonna bring us right down to country music and spiked seltzers. This has to do with the body cam on the 1122 King Road residence on that August 16th date. Gonna continue down to, this is just stuff that happened then on the September 1st and September 2nd. But right here, finally an arrest. Matthew Moye, 22, whose house overlooks the victim's home. Now remember, you're going to go back to listening to me talk on a body cam and me saying that the person that called in the noise complaint was the same residence where, and I read off an article that had none other than Matthew Moye's sister in it, who was a sorority sister. Okay. Never revealing anybody's name, just saying that they inserted themselves and it was the same residence. But here, this article proves everything that I said. A, true. B, that didn't disclose who the person was that made the noise complaint. In fact, they disclosed it themselves. Matthew Moye, 22, whose house overlooks the victim's home, told Insider he called in the September 1st noise complaint because he had an early morning the next day. And what I actually have here is I have the paperwork. So let's see. Reading from the paperwork, it says on 9/2/2022 at approximately 12:28 hours, I responded to the area of King and Queen Road for a report of a noise complaint. This person who's saying right here, Matthew Moye, reported a home playing loud country music. Upon my arrival, and we know how that all plays out. Okay. So it was because of loud country music. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me. Yep, I've always had the complaint. I've always known who the person was. But right here, this is what's interesting to me. I'm going to zoom in. Then it jumps from saying, he said he and Kaylee once walked their dogs together and that she was friendly with Mortensen, the surviving roommate. Moye said that the three women and their two roommates were pleasant, okay, but they had a knack for throwing parties where country music was blasted throughout the neighborhood. It sounded purely like everybody was having a good time all the time, he said. They were sweet girls who liked having fun. All right, so let's do this too. Actually, 1 second. Mhm. Back at it. Sorry, I wanted to slow that down. And wanted to talk about this. So it's a very interesting, thing to say that you walked your dog once with Kaylee, and that did you like observe Kaylee then have like some type of like interaction while you were walking the dog? Did her roommate Dylan come home and that they like ran up and like gave like a hug? Like, how would you know how they were interacting? Just very strange. Um, Thank you there, Renee. Just a very strange thing to write about, to say. Um, and I'm going to ask the big question, which is, why call the police? They're cool people. They're nice people. Why not go over there and just ask them to turn on the music? Um, the last thing anybody wants is the police being called on them. So, and when you call the police, they're going to come out, and then if you're from that area, you know what happens, and you get cited, and people can get in trouble if there's underage drinking. Just a lot can happen, right? So I just can tell you this: that if I, you know, lived on a street in an area and I was going to school, and I'm 22 years old, and I can't recall the last time that I've ever called the police on my neighbors for something like that. So again, wanted to point this out for a couple reasons, which was everything that Truth and Transparency said was 100% true. And he talks about there of a mother of this household feeling some type of way. Well, she knew that her family, that where the phone call came from. And no one ever said that the girl called, a resident called from that same residence. So again, there it all is in black and white. So, and just again, very, very strange wording. Very, very strange wording. Moving on. Moving on. Here is, we're going to talk about December 3rd, December 5th, and December 6th. Press release. At first, I want everybody to see, let's see this right here. What you guys are looking at is a map of what they put out. And this was the focus for people to turn in surveillance. This is the map they put out there November 19th. And they were really interested in anything. See where it says Taylor here? Anything south of Taylor, they wanted this area. Okay. And then they blew it up, which is right here to the right. Making sure you guys can see that. So I went ahead and I looked at a couple of the different language and wording about this. Okay. And the first thing I want to point out is, if you're following along in your PCA packet, is that it is on page 5. There's a little paragraph and it says, the combination of DM's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from BF and DM's phone, and video of suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. That says the combination of those things. Again, the combination of DM's statements, doesn't say DM and BF's statements. It says the combination of DM's statements to law enforcement, review of forensic downloads of records from BF and DM's phone, and video of a suspect video, as described below, leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Versus, it was first seen on the camera at 3:29 a.m. So I went ahead and I went back to mention right here, this part of the PCA, which is page 6. It says that a review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1, starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. And I want to show you what that means. Okay. That means that each time it left. Okay. So here we are. You're right here. You come out, you make a left on Taylor, and then you're quickly making that other left to get onto Walenta. Okay. And right back here, just so you guys know, right before it goes to this curve, that is where the neighbor's house is that reported the call. Anyways, but it's seen leaving out Walenta. Now, they don't put in the PCA, they don't timestamp it like, here it came at 3:29, then it does XYZ, and then it timestamps it when it left. It just wants to be very, very basic and vague and say 3:29 to basically 4:04, 3 passes by the residents, but with no timestamps on those 3 passes. The next interesting thing that the PCA says is that based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars. It says video, not videos. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame, which is between the 3:29 a.m. and the 4:20 a.m. And I thought about that for a long time, because I said, guys, why are they wanting this not to be, the crime could have happened between some point at 3:29 to 4:20, Well, right there, that last sentence is why. upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. That means that there is multiple vehicles, okay, between the 3:29 and the 4:20 time frame. But I'd be willing to bet the time frame of 4:04 to 4:20, I'd be willing to bet that there's only going to be one car. But they don't say that. Again, if you have that longer span of saying the deaths could have been between 3 and 4, you know, 25, let's just say. Well, then there's too many possibilities. Okay. For the prosecution. They need to narrow this down to where they need this white Elantra to be the only vehicle that was back there during this time. And that's why they want to, condense this time. Okay. For the next paragraph, it says suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a fourth time, approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound, and it says King Road, but it should be saying Queen. And eastbound means that it's heading past the residence, okay, and with the residence on the right-hand side, and you're heading towards the apartments. And then it's stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52. Well, the good news is that whatever camera this is, even though it doesn't state between 3:29 and 4:04, those 3 passes by, and it's so vague, this camera at least tells me that it can see all the way up and until the 500 Queen Road, number 52. So you're going to at least be able to see during 3:29 and 4:04, those 3 initial passes. There's going to be more to that. Okay, there's going to be more to that. They're just not telling us. All right. Next, it turns around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road, which is AKA they mean a queen. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. Again, keyword there is appeared. Okay, that's just what it appeared to be. That's what they're going to tell. That's what they're going to tell us that it was. That doesn't mean that's what it was, though. It appeared to be. Okay, it appeared to be that this person was trying to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road, right when it was right in front of their house. That's what it appeared to be. Okay, when they're on the stand to be asked, well, could somebody have gotten out of the vehicle? Moving on. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of the Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Period. Like, we know that you can see past Queen, like where does this vehicle go? Does it look like it makes a right to go back behind the house? Okay. It says period. Then suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive, which if you look here at Walenta, you can only be going south for a very, very short amount of time because otherwise it would be considered going east. Okay. So where it has it on camera is only for a little bit. So that camera has to be right at the beginning of Walenta because otherwise it would be considered going east. Okay. Okay. couple of things that I think are telling though is what they are telling us between 404 and 420 with like, heading east, heading west, heading north, heading south, okay? But then you go back up to that previous paragraph when they're saying a review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. So that means they're using multiple videos here, okay? These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Willenta Drive. Okay. Well, you have the same capability that you would have had between 3:29 a.m. and 4:04 to talk about what this vehicle did, and you're not. You're not talking about it. Why? Because you would never talk about something that's not going to help or hurt your case. You're going to talk about something if it's going to help your case. You're not going to talk about something if it's going to hurt your case, right? Then you would think, right when it says period, leave via Willenta Drive, okay? You would think that if you can see it leaving via Willenta Drive, you should be able to see it coming from Willenta Drive to come back in the neighborhood. But more importantly, when you say period and then it left after the 3 initial passes on page 6, you then jump into based off of my experience as a patrol officer. This is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. And they're talking about the time frame of 3:29 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. But why would that need to be said right there? Why wouldn't that just be said at the end of paragraph 2? Why would that have to be said right there? It's like you're not finishing your thought. Okay, you have your first initial 3 passes. Then you should be going into the 4th pass, which is the 404. And then after you explain all of that, then you should say, based off of my experience as a patrol officer, like that should all be considered one paragraph. Also, you're basically saying that this person who committed the crimes, you're automatically putting them in a vehicle that committed these crimes versus somebody that could have been walking from the back of the house to somewhere else. Like you're putting it on that the killer was in a vehicle versus on foot or on a bike. Why? Well, because Brian Koberger he wouldn't have been on foot. He would have been driving, right? But just because that car is coming and going and there's other cars coming and going, think about that. But you have a community that has how many kids that live on that campus, and what do they all normally do? They all normally walk. Okay, they all normally walk. And then if you have this white Elantra and there's no blood, no nothing in that vehicle. So if you're the defense, you wanna squash that as saying, "Hey, officer, who's this? Officer Payne, in your experience as a police officer on the University of Idaho's campus, how long have you done this for? Oh, a couple years? Okay. You notice Very little cars driving around late at night, right? Yeah. But what do you notice the most of? Pedestrians. Yeah. So do you see a lot of pedestrians walking late at night? Do people walk from the fraternities and the sororities? Do they drive? Do they walk? So why are you excluding anybody that would be walking? In your experience. In your experience on this body cam footage, you approached people that were leaving the house and they were walking away from the house. Did you witness them get into cars? So you wanna bring this whole thing in of just like that it's their take is that whoever did this was in a vehicle. Why? Why? Because the majority of people in that area do what? They walk. And if there's no blood in the vehicle, and I mean, you guys said it yourself in this PCA that you did. I'm sorry, the search warrant. You said that the person, whoever this person would have been covered in blood. How do they get into a vehicle and not? I mean, they stripped. They got naked. So they got. So how long does it take to get naked? And then where do they put the clothes? You said you checked 3 dumpsters, Officer Payne. Did you find anything in those dumpsters? So what did they do? They had a garbage bag. Did they bring the garbage bag? And they put the clothes in the garbage bag in the trunk. Where was the car parked? Hmm. And the 911 caller that happened 11:58, 11:52 in the morning. Hmm. Did the DoorDash hand the stuff to one of the roommates? Did the DoorDash leave it at the door? Are there any other witnesses there saying that they saw anybody enter the home? How did they get in if it was locked? There's no blood leaving. This person was supposed to be covered in blood, dripping. Is there dripping? I mean, what's going on? So at the end of the day, you everything about this is you're not talking about anything between 329 and 404. And in fact, um you need the murders not to happen between that time frame because there's multiple vehicles. So why couldn't it have been this person's car? Why couldn't it be that person's car? But between the 404 and the 420, I believe that what investigators have come to the conclusion of and why they need it to be during that time frame is because that's the only vehicle that's seen. Um, but you keep talking about this like they had to leave Valenta. They had to leave Valenta. So um they took every single they went to all these streets and tried to get all the cameras of all these you know, any type of surveillance. We're gonna go up and down. This is what this is all about. Hey guys, we need all your surveillance right here. If anybody lives over here, whether it has something on it or not, we need it. We need it because we need to eliminate where this car went. Okay. But the last known sighting of it is going south on Walenta, and that's it. And then the next sighting of it is in on WSU's campus, Johnson and Bishop, 1300. And it's at 5:36 in the morning. Could it have been happening in the morning? Possibly. I'm just saying when you do all of that, and you actually have like a lawyer that is gonna like blow it out of the water compared to what I'm fucking saying, it's but they need it to happen during that time frame for a reason. And then let's take a look at something. Not sure if you guys are aware of this, but on December 6th, they did a press release and they said starting Wednesday morning, December 7th, and potentially into Thursday, the MPD, along with the chief, we will be collecting and removing some of the victims' personal belongings from the residence, which are no longer needed for the investigation, so that they can be returned to the families. Again, this is December 6th, okay? That would be the day before they plan to put out to the world that they're looking for a white Elantra, okay? But what's even more amazing is that you go to December 3rd. I'm going to pull these up for you guys to see. Let's go here to December 3rd. I want you guys to see this. Okay. Let me share this with you guys. Again, welcome to the transparency. Thank you for being here for some, just breaking down case talk, facts, nothing but the facts here. Again, December 3rd. Take a look at this, December 3rd. When you scroll down, and what it does here is it has the first section, which is updated information. Okay. And then the next section is investigative timeline. Okay. Right here. Investigators have determined, see that word determined? This isn't believed. Investigators have determined that Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma Chi House on, the campus, that they were seen there. Then you go look at the PCA and you look at page you look at page 3 of the PCA, and it says, on the evening of November 12, 2022, Ethan and Xana are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus, and it gives the address from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th. Okay, so here, December 3rd, all right, but now see this, investigators have determined, you can go back through each and every date, and this is mentioned, early on, and they use the words determined. Okay, investigators have determined, and that language right there is literally the same language that you will find on page 3 of the PCA, where it says, on the evening of November 12th, Xana and Ethan are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi House from approximately 9 to 1:45. BF also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana returned to the King Road residence. Okay, I'll check this out. Again, this is December 3rd. Now, I'm going to share December 5th. All right, here's December 5th. Okay. Again, remember at the beginning, there's your December 5th. Okay. Then at the beginning, what it does, there is no December 4th, by the way. It says your updated information that comes, first for anything that's going to be updated, anything that's going to be new. Check this out. December 5th. Detectives continue investigating what occurred. So, what occurred from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th, when Ethan and Xana were believed to be at the Sigma Chi house, versus were determined. Now it was believed to be. Okay? That language right there, when Ethan and Xana were believed to be at the Sigma Chi house. This is December 5th. This is after the 3rd. The 3rd, they were determined to be there based on investigation. And it was in the investigative section of the report, which you'll see right here, investigative timeline. Right here. Investigators have determined that Ethan were seen. It was determined. Because now you look at the PCA, and that was determined that they were seen there because of BF statements. Okay. But then you go to December 5th, which we're on. And now in the updated section, investigators were believed, like when Ethan and Xana were believed to be, not determined to be. So very, very different words. Very, very different words. Okay. One step further, made a phone call today to Moscow, Idaho, and said, yo, what's up? Got a quick question for you. Who writes your press releases? Is it multiple people? Is it one person? What's up? And then we just said, F it. Who is it? Because it was one person, because that's really important, because you're using language for a reason. And we got the name, and because it was one person. So, but you go look at the PCA, and December 3rd, you have this narrative because you investigated it, and then the cops determined that based on speaking with everybody, or at least the person that they're saying in here, on the evening of November 12th, they are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi house. Okay. BF also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., returned to the King Road residence. All right. But here, guys, on December 5th, there's issues. There's issues because I'm only telling you that there's issues because now they're adding to this updated information. They want all of us to know on December 5th that detectives continue investigating what occurred from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. Okay. When Ethan and Xana were believed to be at the Sigma Chi house. Well, you were believed to be that because that's what Bethany told you, and that's what you put in the PCA, which comes way later. This is December 5th, December 3rd. You guys had it determined, and now we got questions because you're not using determined here. You're using we're believed, which is a sense of that's what we thought. You want to know how I know that that's the language that they use? Because go look at the language that they use for the roommates. Let's take a look at the roommates. Right here, detectives believe that on November 12th, and we know this is a lie, that the 2 surviving roommates had also been out in the Moscow community separately, but returned home by 1 a.m. Well, what? The two did not wake up until later that morning. Yeah, keyword there, detectives believe. Okay, so when they use the words believe, detectives believe this is what happened. So they're not lying to us, right? That's their way around saying versus detectives have determined. Okay, totally different language. Right here on November 13th, the surviving roommates summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. Now, let's take a look at let me take a look at chat. How you guys doing? So again, that's December 3rd, December 5th. Reason this is important is because you interview me and I'm BF and I tell you my statement. So then therefore you're like, I give you my statement. Did you have to re-interview me at some point? Because I told you that and you have it written down December 3rd of what I've said. But then on December 5th, it's contradicting. But then when you write this PCA, you go back to what it said, I said. Now let's look at December the 5th. Take a look at this, December 5th. Right here. With the active criminal investigation, law enforcement has not released additional facts to the family or the public. With the active, this is the first time they ever say this, updated information. They say this to us on December 5th. With the active criminal investigation, law enforcement has not released additional facts to the family or the public. Okay, December 5th. All right. Now, let's see what they say on, hold on. Well, also on December 5th, they want to talk about the dog. Again, this is all really important, what goes on between December 3rd and December 6th. Right here. I went too far. Right here. There have been numerous requests about the dog found at the residence. Arriving officers entered the residence and found the deceased victims. During the search of the home, a dog was found in a room where the crimes had not been committed. Okay. Officers did not find any evidence on the dog, and there was no indication the animal had entered the crime scene. Well, what's considered the crime scene? What's considered the crime scene? Because I would think that the house is considered the crime scene. Then the dog was taken to animal services and released to a responsible person. They went one step further. While the dog was in the house when the officers arrived, it has not been determined where the dog was physically located when the murders took place. Okay. So, again, remember this right here. Now, here we go. December, the next following day. Okay. This would be December 6th, the update. Mind you, don't worry, I have all of these printed off, backed up. Here you go, December 6th. Let me share this. The next day, this is what we're told. Again, I'll show you the right here, December 6th. Okay. Next day. First things first. Starting Wednesday morning, December 7th, we're going to be taking stuff out of that house, and it may lead into the next day. But they put this out, let us know this on December 6th, that this is what they're going to do on December 7th, okay? And possibly go into the next day, which is will collect and remove some of the victim's personal belongings. They put this out one day before we get told to be on the lookout for a white Elantra, okay? They put this out, all right? Right here, the house remains an active crime scene. What? The house. Again, the house remains an active crime scene. Please explain that to me. The house remains an active crime scene. All right. So the day before, when you say, while the dog was in the house when officers arrived, it has not been determined where the dog was physically located when the murders took place, which you have the body cam. But that doesn't mean, you also don't know if that's where the dog was during the time that the murders took place. But they're gearing up for something. During the search of the home, a dog was found in a room where the crimes had not been committed. Officers did not find any evidence on the dog, and there was no indication the animal had entered the crime scene. Okay. Had entered the crime scene. So the dog did not enter the crime scene. The next day, the house is the crime scene. And you're taking stuff out of the house. Oops. Let me pull that back up for you guys. Then I got more for you. The 20, this is what day was I reading for you guys? The 6th, okay. So then the house remains an active crime scene, and progress continues to be made in the investigation. Now, just completely mind blown. MPD and investigative partners continue to work with the victims' families on the investigation and ongoing developments. What are you talking about? Mind you, the day before, this is what is said. With the active criminal investigation, law enforcement has not released additional facts to the family or the public. December 6th, the next day, December 6th. Well, the house remains an active crime scene. We're telling you that we're taking stuff out of the house that is an active crime scene. And number 3 of this big explosion of a day is the MPD and investigative partners continue to work with the victims' families on the investigation and ongoing developments. Wait a second, you just told us that you're not telling the public nor the families anything. What is going on here? Do you see the frustration that anybody would have? Okay, moving on. There's more about this day. Hey guys, just so you guys know, you guys can go check out our video interview for media use for public viewing. Okay. And that's when they started using, YouTube and stuff like that. Let's see on the 6th here. Now, I want you guys to see that. Look at this December 6th, okay? There's no mention that with the updated information has anything to say about Ethan or Xana or Sigma Chi or anything about that, okay? Look at nothing. In the updated, detectives continue processing and working through more than, all of that. This is where they're trying to make it a really big, our focus is the investigation, not the activities. Basically, we all know that you did, illegal acts. We don't give a shit. So please come forward. You're not going to get in trouble. All right. Meaning it could be underage drinking. It could be whatever. We are interested in the investigation, not in your acts, like your activities. Okay. Acts is part of activities. So as you can see, there is no talk about Sigma Chi or anything to do with what I told you December 3rd, December 5th, big little whoop whoop. Now we go back to the investigative timeline because that stuff ahead is stuff that's like new and updated. This is the investigative timeline. All right. Investigators have determined that Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma Chi house. What happened to investigating? What happened to now you're back to determining this? Okay. So again, the same day that they start taking items out of the house is the same day. Don't look at what we're doing, okay? Because who was ever reading this stuff on December 6th? It made it seem like, hey, we're gonna, we're giving stuff back to the families. No, we're just taking stuff out of an active crime scene. But don't look over here. Hey, guess what? We need your help with the White Elantra. Here it is. And what happens on December 7th is we have no idea this is coming. We have no idea this is coming. But on December 7th, okay, what comes our way is a press release on December 7th that has Moscow community, we need your help. Public, we need your help. Meanwhile, you can come to your own conclusion on why they're doing this. It's just so that the tip line gets flooded with useless stuff. Did you follow up with all these? Here we go. There it is. December 7th. Moscow police are asking for the community's help. Detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011, 2013. It says right here, detectives are interested in speaking with. Well, that means that when you get a tip about somebody having this White Elantra, they're interested in speaking with. What did they speak with Brian Kohlberger? Because they were interested in speaking with. Every person that, if you're interested in speaking with people that have this make and model, Tips, look at this, tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupant or occupants, plural, have critical information to share regarding this case. If you know of or own a vehicle matching this description, or know of anyone. So when people want to say, well, why didn't Brian Kohlberger come forward? If you own a vehicle matching this description, well, no, he doesn't. And you never changed it from 2011 to 2000. You never expanded. Your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be the piece of the puzzle that helps investigators solve these murders. Okay, but this is what we get. At this time, no suspect has been identified, and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. So, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at live chat, answer some questions, see what you guys think. But I was not when I was reading all this, so. What have I done on that board? I don't think asking questions when it pertains to logic is anything to do with conspiracies. I think that all I'm showing is inconsistencies. So I think the word is instead of this is not a conspiracy. This is just inconsistencies. This is contradicting statements. Mod Squad. Yeah, you lay down the law, Mod Squad. Again, go ahead and take a look at those December, 3rd, December 5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah, absolutely. Spitting them back. What's up, Alice? How you doing? Ray says something is going on here. I don't know what, but this isn't as straightforward as what they're making it out to be. Yeah, I think the PCA tells us that it's not straightforward, if you ask me, because it's all over the place. But June says I think they're testing our intelligence. JC says somebody from the frag is giving tips. I mean, you never know, right? Still puzzling. He was never questioned. Yeah, well, it's never been said one way or the other if he was or was not. But what it tells me is that, you got a guy that the more and more I've read about what he would have been involved with in his field and stuff, like he worked in his office was in the same building as all of the CSI lab and everything to do with that department. So why not just, hey, we did a printout of all the people that have, it would just have been so simple. Is these are the two printouts we did from campus, And we're talking to anybody that had a white Elantra. Boom, done. And who wouldn't expect that? Because as the public, weren't we kind of expecting that's what they were doing? I mean, what did you think that they were doing with the leads? Just, I don't know, sitting on them? So the phone records to say how many people did we call? Who got calls? Um, how many people that with white Elantras were interviewed? Obsessed for Disneyland. Thank you for that. Atlanta never misses anything, like, ever. I just like to look at the timeline, guys. I'm just showing you the timeline of what they're said to be doing, and they said that there's an issue with, like, okay, we believed this to be the case, but now we're back to investigating, what was going on between 9 and 1:45. Now we're saying that the crime scene is the house, but the dog wasn't in the crime scene at all, but just because it wasn't in some room, the dog didn't look to, like, have anything. I mean, what? Like, did you process the dog? Or was it like, "Oh, it looks like it's fine"? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't there. I don't know what protocol is for that, but I can find out. When I don't know something and I want to know something, I just ask questions. So I'm just questioning, like, the process of this, because I want whoever is responsible, and if it's one person or if it's 10. And if I was a parent of one of these kids, like, I don't want a name and I don't want a face. I want the truth. I want it all. I want to know, what the heck happened here. Um, did anyone, just trying to catch questions as they come, did anyone know the defense attorney assigned to Kober won her last big case based on police misconduct? Yeah, and then it actually went back and he was convicted. But yeah, that's going to all play into. But yeah. Yeah, Kayla, he's got a very good attorney. They're on it. Brian Kohlberger, from all things that, we've seen, he is maintaining his innocence. And not only is he maintaining his innocence, but his team is on it. So I think he's being vocal about stuff, um, telling them, if you're not honest with your lawyer, you're screwed, because then they can't defend you. Whatever the truth is, you need to tell them. And I think the discovery request says it all, that there was a lot of honesty in what they were asking for. Your credibility is going to come into play if you were ever involved with something. I don't think people realize how heavy WSU campus police are involved in this, and that they're basically the ones that found Brian Kohlberger's car, basically the first ones to be at his vehicle. Then they knew obviously where he lived. Nobody talked to him. They wait until he leaves for break. Did they get into his apartment? Like, all of those things, if you don't think that that's going to come up, it's going to. I mean, you're going to show everything and anything you can as a defense attorney for your client to say, okay, why didn't you go and ask him a question? He's in the criminal. This is his major. He's been a law-abiding citizen. Like, why would you think that there was something so, crazy about this, and that he created this, like, mastermind? Why wouldn't you talk to him? Especially you would wanna use it to you have all these FBI agents, why wouldn't you wanna use their consult with them and have them watching him during an interview? If he's guilty, does he tell his lawyer that? Yeah, I mean, if he's guilty, then I think he had a plan to tell his lawyer something, because then that would go along the lines of he's trying to get away with, like, this perfect murder through a perfect defense, not because you committed the perfect murder or murders, but because you're about to defend against this and walk on something that you did. So, it just depends on if you think that Brian Koberger orchestrated all of this and did all of this and made sure that he was seen on every possible camera in Moscow, um, driving around in his own vehicle. Um, I've never heard that before. Defense attorneys say, "Don't tell me if you are guilty." Ugh. Yes, I do have a comment on that. Any thoughts on BK DMing victims before the murders? I don't listen to tabloids, um, whatsoever. And if they say that they have a law enforcement leak, they're in trouble. Like, you're only helping the defense. So I just wow, you know, I think that that also would have came out earlier when there wasn't a gag order. Let me ask you guys a question. So the guy from People Magazine, think about this. Think about this. The guy from People Magazine, basically Mad Greek just went public and just blasted out there that, like, basically you a lie and, yada yada yada, right? They went hard double down. Like woo woo woo. And so now you got the People Magazine guy, right? He's looked at like that he just fabricated all of this, right? But he clearly has a source that he got this information from, and he said it was an ex-employee. Um, how does People Magazine handle it? How does People Magazine handle this in terms of, you know, hey, who's your source? Like, are you going to cough up your source at that point to save your reputation, to save your possible job? I mean, how do you handle that? Or do you just not speak on it? What's considered ethical? Here's somebody that came to you as an anonymous source, and here you go ahead and you put this out there, but then boom, turn around, and then Mad Greek basically calls you out. J Lord, if you think that I'm helping the defense, I have a problem with the way that that's worded. I'm helping the truth. I don't help the prosecution. I don't help the defense. I don't help anything. I help the truth. So if you think that what I'm doing, if you really truly think about it, if you think that what I'm doing is helping the defense, then I think you answered your own question about this whole thing, because it's not truthful then. You know, all I'm doing is pointing out, I mean, the investigation, the process, and then the PCA and where it is, and looking at certain different things and telling you, okay, well, This is how something's gonna have to go because XYZ. So if I'm helping anybody, I'm helping the truth, but I don't ever look at it that I'm helping, um, a side. I if Brian Kohlberger did this, he deserves to whatever, the parents decide. If it's up to, like, them talking about the death penalty. That's not for me or any. I mean, I think that that's a but whoever did this, and if it's Brian Kohlberger, if it's Brian Kohlberger and Company, if it's multiple people, like, you'd want the truth, and so all I'm doing is the truth. So when I tell people, like, they think that I'm helping somebody, um, well, then I think that just speaks for itself. If I saw something in here that I would point out and say, "Hey, look at this, look at that, look at" okay. I think that the prosecution has really honed in on that time frame. Very, very much so. To the point that they've honed in on a what Elantra, and they've honed in on 404, you know, 4 to 425. That's what their case rests on. That white Elantra connecting to Brian Kohlberger and it being there, and that the crimes could have only been committed during that time frame. And so I said, why are you limiting if the white Elantra was seen at 329? Would it help to make that time frame 329 to, I don't know how you're getting 425 because the car is seen leaving at 420. So that's just in itself, just woo. Um, um, Thanks, Debbie. Dr. Debbie. Yeah. I think that we should all question things in life when something doesn't seem right when something doesn't seem logical to me, that's what I question. Um, that's when the big questions come out for me. Well, thank you there, Mar R. We need more people like Lana. Whoop. Sure thing. Look out. Be careful what you wish for. Oh, thank you there. Appreciate that. Lana's critical thinking is underrated. I'm here to stay. Appreciate that. Asking questions is not against the law. Launch mob mentality isn't helping get to the truth. Lunch. I don't know what lunch mob is, but if that's a new Subway sandwich, let me know. What's up, Hot Ham Radio? Let me ask you guys a question again, because maybe some of you guys weren't here yesterday. You got a brand new Range Rover in the driveway, and now you say that Brian has totally stalked them. He's sat outside that house. He knows everything about them, right? You have a brand new Range Rover in that driveway. All right, you know that these girls have boyfriends, possibly ex-boyfriends, however you want to use them. This house has a lot of people coming in and out. All right. If you are to stalk them, you would know these things. You would know what they drive. You would know where they work, when they work, who they date, when they normally see them. You would know their patterns. Okay. So when you would pull up that night, how do you not know? You wouldn't know if Jack D is spending the night because he would just walk over, right? So his car wouldn't be there. And then what about whose Range Rover is that? That Range Rover has never been seen. So you're Brian or you're whoever, right? And this is to me like a very ballsy thing to do, to go into someone's home when you know there's cameras around. Clearly, like, there's cameras on how this went down, and you walked into someone's home that you thought you could just walk in and literally not shoot 4 people, stab multiple times 4 people, and then just walk right out and then just drive off or walk off or whatever. But this house has so many variables. This is like the house of variables. You don't know, like, who's inside. They go to bed at, this time, that time, whatever. So it's and when you saw that Range Rover, like, who did you think that that was? And the only people that could answer this would be friends of hers, Kaylee's, to say, did she put this car on social media? Did she put it in Snapchat? Did she put it out on Instagram? Did she put it here? Did she put it there? Um, but I think that would cause pause. Um, for anybody when they drove up and they think that they're um that defense attorney is crazy. You are a sharp cookie. You could hand people ideas for his defense. Then they can pay me for it. So that way I can go and help other people. But I just think that there was a lot of X variables. When was the last time that Jack slept over? How did you not know that, you know, who would have been able to tell you? How do we know that the bedroom door on the first or on the second level wasn't open? That was Dylan's. Or that maybe nobody was in there. I'm just saying, like, it's the combination of Dylan's statements, the combination of Dylan and Bethany's phone extraction, and the cameras. That's the three things that they say is why they determined that this happened between 4 and 4:25. They never talk about any of the victims' phones, but they're basing the time of not time of death, but time of the crimes, time of crime between 4 and 4:25. Well, you might as well just knock off the last 5 because you have him in the white Elantra, that's him, right? And he didn't do this with somebody else, right? So this had happened between 4:04 because that's when it comes on camera, but then you have to get out of your vehicle to get into the house, okay? So you gotta knock off a couple minutes. Same thing with leaving, okay? Um, so you got what, 4:06? 4:07, I mean, 4:06 to what, 4:18? And all I said was, why not stretch it up? Go from 329 when his car's first seen there. Because if somebody was a target, and let's say it was a top floor, and you go in there and you target to go in there and you didn't realize that Kaylee would be sleeping with Maddie. Okay, so you go into Maddie's room, or you go into, Kaylee's room and she wasn't there, so you go into Maddie's room. But if let's say that the target was Maddie and you go into Maddie's room and then boom, there's Kaylee, you weren't expecting that, right? Because Kaylee used to drive a RAV4 or whatever, or like a Beamer or whatever, and you don't see that there, right? But here you go in and you killed both of those people planning to just leave, okay? So that's why you see the vehicle leave between the 329 and the 404, and then realizing, holy shit, my sheath. Oh my God, I have to go back. I have to get that. That's like, I need that. Like, that could ruin everything. Because when I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, could that have happened? And then that's why the kid is like driving around multiple times, freaking the F out, saying, oh my God, how do I got to go back in there and get this. I got to go back in there and get this. And he's contemplating that. And then decides, okay, he's going to. And then when he goes back in to get the sheath, he runs in then into, the Xana and the Ethan that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay. I'm only saying this because if you don't think that I look at something both ways and as far as helping the defense or helping the prosecution, no, I just look at the truth and I look at, is it possible? You know, and why are you so against it possibly going down like that? Um, do I think that that happened? I think that if you're pegging Brian Kohlberger, he knows where he's parking. He's not circling like a crazy lunatic, okay? Because why? If you have a plan and he's OCD and he's all these things, I also think that blood and having blood squirt all over you if you're Brian Kohlberger is not, and that's not, if you're profiling this guy, like too many things just don't add up for who he is, unless he was that disciplined to know that he had to commit a crime a certain way. That just depends on how far you're willing to dig deep into the whole psyche, the criminology standpoint of it. So, um, but at the end of the day, for them not to question, if they did not question him, why wouldn't you question him? And I think that just depends on how you got his name. Because you didn't get it from frickin' frack over at WSU. I'll bet a steak dinner on that. I think it's going to depend on how many times they give interviews, you know, being recorded. You got 42 FBI agents there. That's just insane. And why talk about that like that? I mean, every single press release has it at the end of each thing is how many people are there. December, you know, at the end of every presser or press release, it says, you know, here we go. Moscow Police Department, 6 detectives, 5 supporting staff. Federal Bureau of Investigation, 46 investigators in Moscow, and 2 behavioral analyst unit investigators. And they are located throughout the United States. So you're putting together a task force? Like, what are you doing? Then you go to the Idaho State Police, 13 investigators in Moscow, 15 uniformed troopers assisting with community patrols. There's a communications team, there's an ISP forensics services. And it wasn't until they hired that on November 30th, when they hired that private security to watch the house, that they then released the 24 patrols of Moscow Police Department. Just all bizarre. All bizarre. They had over 300 interviews. Yeah, but the crazy part is that they didn't tell us about those interviews until like at the end when they updated it. It was on 38 for like the longest time. And they make a statement saying that basically the FBI conducted some of these interviews. I want to know who the FBI interviewed. That to me is big. I want to know who the FBI interviewed. You know, who did the FBI interview? Who did Idaho State Police interview? And then who did Moscow interview? Who did what interviews? I cannot wait to hear about that. You know, yes, Morgan, exactly. I find a knife strange weapon to kill 4 people. Okay. Surely a gun more convenient. Yeah. Also, you could use a silencer. Also, it's loud. I mean, why did they have to get off the time frame of that this could have happened between 3 and 4:30? They had to get off of the, you know, you see the card 3:29. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. Well, we can't have it be between 3 and 3:30 because his car's not there yet, you know? Okay, so we got to get off of that time frame. So now we're in a time frame of a little bit after 3:30, and oh wait, then the car leaves again. Oh shit. Oh wait, then the car leaves again and comes back. Then the car leaves again and comes back. Like, what is going on? And then it comes back a 4th time. And then you're talking about a guy that was asking ex-cons, cons that got away with shit, how to do X, Y, and Z, and everybody's losing their minds about that. Like, oh my God, look at how crazy this is. Well, I don't think you know what the criminal justice programs are like. That was my one of my majors, that in business. And the criminal justice program, like you write tons of different stuff and your classes are wild. What somebody else would deem as like, this isn't art 401, like this is what do you think a criminology, PhD student is doing? So none of that to me is like, whoa, can you believe that he was doing this type of research? Yeah, I can believe it. That's exactly what you would be doing. Just like if you're a doctor and oh, can you imagine like you're going and cutting people open? Well, yeah, with other, your resident. Yes. You're learning from people. You're doing, yes, 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 and yes. You have, if to study the whatever it is that your field is in, yes, yes, and yes. Um, I hope that it's televised. Heather asked if it was going to be televised. Well, I hope so. Woke up to a home team stream. Couldn't have timed it better. Thank you there. I love that everybody is on different time zones. So when I say like, good morning or good evening, and someone's saying like the opposite to me, I love it. They certainly do it in law school. Yep. Yep, they do. Let's see. This is a great scenario. Let's see. There are 2 bedrooms. There's 6 bedrooms in the house, but yes, there are 2 bedrooms with 2 people in them. There are 2 bedrooms with 1 person in each, and then there's 2 bedrooms completely unoccupied. Attacks the bedroom with 2 people and not even the rooms with 1 person alone untouched. Lex Luthor, I disagree with Lana. In my opinion, it's easy to pick these holes because we aren't even given all of 5% out of the 100% that they've got on this guy. What do you think that they have on this guy? Here's a better question for you guys. I want to read your guys' answers. What do you think that they have on Brian Colberger? Thank you, Glory. I thought it said glory hole. Oh my God, glory dancer. Okay, someone says DNA. Someone says nada. In the DNA, they didn't want to use that touch DNA. Don't use it though to give us this warrant. Real strong. The medical examiner is the one to testify. Yeah, the medical examiner is going to be the one to testify. I would take what Mabbitt has said and just flush it down the toilet. What they put out, technically, one room ends up with a dog in it. There you go, I'll say. Well, that is according to the body cam. Sheila says DNA. April says, I mean, that says April says, I think not enough. Touch DNA, blah. Good Juju said, who's going to be Kato? Pain. Okay, someone said they have phone records. Okay. The shoe print. Curious Cat says whatever they could create to justify the narrative. They have 75% still if evidence against him that they aren't showing. So what do you think that came out of the apartment? You think that you truly think that that is redacted to the point of other things? Because I'm going to tell you no. I'm just curious. What do you guys hair, receipts, content of car, computer DNA? Prior to him being arrested, prior to the PCA, okay? What did they have on Brian Kohlberger without talking to him? They were like, "Man, this is our man. Look at this freak." What were they saying to themselves? "Oh man, he tried to get a damn internship. He's been, you know, coming around my damn lab and asking all these weird questions, trying to do this, trying to do that." Who's this? What did they have before? Look at those eyebrows. Everything he did on computers and phones. Yep, they got his tower. All speculation. No blood trail outside. I know. Isn't that what if you're on the jury, you're on the jury. How is someone gonna how about this? There's been no mention that maybe Dylan had someone sleep over. Maybe Bethany had someone sleep over. Maybe someone just slept over in the smash room and they were getting it on with somebody because they were cheating on their boyfriend or girlfriend. And they couldn't, do it at their oh man, you know how my roommate's like she's a little snitch. Like she's gonna tell. So can I just like spend the night over here with Tommy? What? Sure, I guess. To me, his eyes would stand out more than the bushiness. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys, but when I hear about bushy eyebrows, you guys know what I'm thinking. I'm like, Jesus. I hope he trims. I believe those two were involved with law enforcement corruption. Are you talking about the WSU people? Why do you think it's not him? This is such a scary concept if these young adults get no justice. Absolutely. Because of the process, the method that was used. I'm not saying that it is not him. I'm saying that I am this process that they claim that they used, and how they got to Brian Kohlberger. That's what I question, and I think that's going to get torn to shreds in the courtroom. And so, but right now, this guy is. I mean, the public wants to hang him. So you got that going if you're the prosecution. By public opinion, this guy is exactly what the tabloids have put out about him. You know what's going to be sad? You know what to me is going to be sad? Is can you imagine being a defense attorney? You don't want to go hard at Bethany or Dylan. Who would ever want to do that? And if there's a defense attorney out there that says, "Oh my god, I would like give me that day," then I would say that you're a piece of shit, because nobody would ever want to do that. Okay? But that is a big part of like would have to happen in that courtroom, because it's so heavy on you're basically saying you saw my client because you're pegging him with these bushy eyebrows, right? But who would ever want to do that? I can tell you this right now, I would never want to do that. Like, I'm a very compassionate person, and I have empathy, and for what Bethany and Dylan have been through is, you know, it's really just short of it, the fact that they didn't lose their life, but what they've been through, you wake up every day wondering, why was I spared? Why didn't they come for me? What the heck is going on here? And I couldn't imagine living like that every day. And I wouldn't wish that upon like anybody. So for those two girls to have to take the stand and do all of that, that's just sad. It's sad. Oh, thank you there, Sylvia. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing, exactly what you just wrote there. Very well said, thank you. Um, but a defense attorney, when they say you heard someone crying and you didn't go help them, like, that's what they're gonna say, and that's just I don't that's gonna be so heartbreaking. Like, you went and locked yourself in your room, but you said somebody basically had left because you saw them leave, but you were it's just gonna be it's not gonna be okay. It's gonna be sad, and I that's what I think about. They can go hard without going too hard. Ugh. The defense is gonna say 8 hours, yep. Also, then if you have I wanna see the camera from the morning, when people were called over there, how long, you know, when were those people called over there? How long had they been there before then the 911 call was made? Because it might not even just be the whole fact that it was 8 hours, it might also be, like, that these other people were there. "Here, guys, here's your car rolling up at, 10:59 AM, and you didn't call until 11, like, what are y'all doing in there?" It's just gonna be sad. But what people say, like, all the time is like, "Oh, stop victim blaming or victim bashing." No one's blaming anybody, and if you are, like, that shouldn't be what's happening. What we're talking about is called reality. Like, this is gonna be the reality of if this goes to trial, is you have a bunch of young adults that are gonna be taking the stand, just like when the mass shootings have happened, and it's just sad. Rachel says, "It's crucial that you determined one writer." Yep. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question there too, Paula. Again, who showed up but left before 911 was called, if any? Yeah. So, um, you know, I I don't believe that Murphy sheds, so that's gonna be interesting for me. Um, that's gonna be interesting. So, survivor's guilt is devastating. Yeah, it is. Oh, Porcupine Pancake Art says, "You definitely, um, planted the seed of doubt in me, so damn." And I think that the doubt for me when it's on this timeline, it's on the methods that they use. You got the 42 FBI agents in there. Like, why do you feel like you're playing, that you had to play cat and mouse with somebody, that if it was so sloppy and this was so, amateurville, and, "Oh, they left the sheath," and you remember Mr. G was saying that? Mr. Gonsalves was talking about that's what they were saying to him. Stuff about that you know, the killer messed up and that it was sloppy, that the killer was sloppy or something like that. So, um, probably Murphy doesn't shed. Only one only one lonely hair. Well, I hope that, that whoever is responsible at the end of the day, because there's been a lot of things happening between these two universities over the past, X amount of years, and to see the stuff that has gone on, it's right in front of our faces, and you got people in powerful positions like authority and, law enforcement, and I love, um I support our police, I support everything to do with our judicial system, because I don't believe that the system is flawed, it's the individuals. There's individuals that make it flawed. So, but yeah. But you guys are awesome. Love when you're here. Love the great talks. Oh god, that's gonna be my next shirt is Bush awareness for all sane. All sane. Hands down. Cheers to all sane with his comments today. But again, Truth and Transparency appreciates each and every one of you. Whether you were tuned in today from, your desk at work, driving along, if it's later on in the evening for you, whatever it may be, consider making yourself known using your voice, using your thumbs to thumbs it up or thumbs it down the video. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give the okay for the next piece of merch to say Bush awareness. I mean, they're gonna think that it's it's political or something, that I'm like all about the bushes. So, Debbie Witt, where is Bella? I don't know. Go. You should email her. No, Bella's around. She's probably on the phone with Chief Fry right now, reading book or something to him, calming him down before she just starts drilling with some serious questions. So, thank you there, Debbie. We appreciate you saying that we are the best. Thank you, mods. Love all of you. All right, you guys, take care for the rest of the day. Again, make yourself known right here when you're watching the live before you close out. Just thumbs up, thumbs down. Greetings from Mexico City. Love your channel. Mexico. Love that James Taylor song. All right, guys, take care. Aw. Love you back there. Love you back there. It's okay if you missed it. Run it back. A lot of information, so make sure you get it. I believe Chief Fry is busy with Kim at the moment. That's what somebody thinks. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks, good juju. You guys take care until next time, okay? Remember, this Friday night, I'm going to have the drunk turkey's over here, but also Scott Roeder, and we're going to talk about I'm trying to talk him into doing a reenactment because I'm just curious about the blood and the sheath. I want to know how much blood would be on a sheath that would be laying next to, one of the victim's bodies. And what should be on that. And what type of questions should, we expect to hear from, both sides, because that's what he is. He's an expert witness. So I'm really looking forward to this Friday and the education behind it. So again, thank you guys so much. Take care. Until next time.